John, so how significant is this decision when actually the goods in question, the value of them, relatively small?
Well, it's only a few $1 million involved in this decision, but the immediate impact is that South Korea is planning an appeal, which kind of effectively vetoes the Monday decision because the WTO appellate body has been dysfunctional since about December 2019, when the U.S. blocked appointment of new members for the panel. But on the greater scale, South Korea and Japan have been fighting a battle over their shared history concerning Japan's 1910-1945 colonial rule over the Korean Peninsula that spilled over to trade. And some of these disputes have wound up at the WTO. So it's just going to inflame the simmering tensions between the two countries. And the amount is small, but it just feeds back into this feud about whether South Korea sees Japan as fairly compensating South Koreans for colonial rule, whereas Japan sees these matters as settled under a 1965 treaty that established diplomatic relations.
So what are some of the other fights that Japan and South Korea are having when it comes to trade in particular?
So one of the things is that about 2 years ago, South Korea's courts said that Japanese companies were responsible for South Koreans conscripted into working during colonial rule at Japanese factories and mines. Japan was very displeased with the decision and tangentially put South Korea on a list of export controls, some sensitive materials for their tech industry. South Korea saw this as politically motivated and took this to the WTO. So this has been a simmering dispute between the two over the past few years. It's really intensified the animosity between the two countries. And it's spilled over into some other things, like the South Korea's trade minister was trying to lead the WTO. And in October, we had reports out of Japan that the government was effectively blocking her nomination to take over. It wasn't official, but because of the WTO process, a powerful country like Japan effectively giving a veto of the candidate dashed the hopes for the South Korean candidate to take over the global body.
How does this trade spat complicate the picture for the United States that actually wants its closest allies in Asia to work together?
Exactly. I mean, when it comes, Japan and South Korea are the two biggest U.S. allies in Asia, and they're key for the U.S. in managing threats posed by North Korea and China. Coordinated response it's indispensable for actions like a North Korean missile launch. When a missile is test launched, the U.S. relies on Japan, South Korea to all be on the same page to watch, prepare defenses, and make sure what's going on. So it's having these two allies together with the U.S. is one of the most important things for maintaining security in the Asia-Pacific region.